I've been walking 2 miles, slightly more, really, for a month. Slightly more than that, too. The same loop in the same direction every time. No, not boring. I'd say familiar, even reassuring. I walk by 5 obelisks etched with the lines of poetry by Wallace Stevens, a sparse poem invoking time and space and relationships, and curiously, blackbirds. There are more obelisks I have not yet seen, as my route veers away before I pass the rest. Someday a longer walk may allow me to complete the poem. I'm not frightened, but perhaps wary, making complex calculations of time and speed and distance. I see a human form 3 blocks ahead. Is he walking toward me? Should I cross the street now? Or do I need to alter my pace to avoid overtaking him? All my calculations made unnecessary as he turns onto the next side street. And there's also joy. I see a father patiently trying to comb out the knots in his son's hair, long past the haircut the young man needed a month ago. Here's an older man carefully painting the scrollwork hinges on a dilapidated church, sprucing up a building in desperate need of much more expensive repairs. I smell, before I see, a lawn nearly overtaken by clover, the sweet, spicy aroma spinning around me on the breeze. In a parking lot, a woman negotiates with her toddler, explaining that they'll get home faster if she's willing to ride her trike. Then, 10,000 tiny white trumpets bloom atop so-called weeds along a 1/4 mile of iron fence. A young man in full graduation regalia poses for a photo at the grand main entrance of a local insurance company. Another man is sweeping trash from the street in front of his home, making the neighborhood a little bit better with this simple task. I've now walked often enough to know each of the half-mile points. 0.5 miles, the Hartford Cogswell Street loading dock. 1 mile, the corner of Sigourney and Asylum. 1.5 miles, the main entrance to St. Francis Hospital. And then the 2-mile mark, just around the corner from home. Now, on my back porch, I enjoy the dappled sunlight across my lawn.
Mother Nature has been awakened from her long sleep. This decision was not by Father Time's decree. Man-managed disturbance, upsetting the preternatural balance of things, has ushered in changes, reminding me a bell rung continues to ring. Change is minuscule from the start, mushroomed greatly as disordered weather patterns cause disasters to our dismay. Political denials can't blind us to the cataclysmic results in all quarters of the world on any given day. Wildfires consume forests and cities. Plumes of pollution fill the air. Raging tornadoes skip across desecrated land, leaving nothing but scorched earth everywhere. Torrential rains pelt streets as soaring waves claw greedily at the sand. Cars disappear under rivers that race over what was once dry land. Basement furniture floating from room to room as subways vomit rainwater, stopping trains in their tracks. Struggling pedestrians catch rides on airboats, afraid to look back. Angry winds beat upon homes with a fever that's fierce, ripping trees up by roots and tossing them here and there, devouring highways as if they were a snack, leaving watery graves that cars fall into, then refuse to give them back. Electricity becomes a remembrance as night goes completely dark. Children cling to parents so they won't drown or cause a search party to embark. Next morning, crippled homes, leaking tears as last night's floodwaters slowly recede. Many homeless cling to prayers, waiting in long lines for drinking water, and the lucky ones might buy gasoline. Baking sun smiles mercilessly upon battered citizenry who, frustrated, make decisions about how to proceed. A few minutes cooling in cars, then returning to hothouse blues, dismayed by nature's fury and her demands to extract from them what she considers to be her due.
Nobody owns the rainbow, except maybe someone named Roy G. Biv, and I would love to think that we've met. Every day I walk this land and add my footprints to the dents left by others before me, stepping lightly over cracks and shading my eyes from direct sunlight, knowing we are all living on a blue rock house covered with a ceiling of sky. Somewhere far away, but really in this earth house nearby, a soul is reaching out a hand to me, and somewhere near you, a soul is doing the same. And standing in candy mist and under torrential downpours, we wait. And then the sun comes up, and no matter where we are, far from each other laughing, close to each other crying, living painfully on our knees, or even dying. Look up into the sky. Take time for your 3 billion heartbeats. Watch the 7 colors play, because nobody owns the rainbow. I dream of watching you watching for rainbows. We are all things all the times, simply divine. Your face is Orphic, a thing of everyday mysticism, a tiny gem in a crystal ball, a spell cast up to the very last word, but saving it for the soul, drought-ridden times, and then letting it fly. Your smile as you watch the sky is a vesper to life, like a toddler's laugh, or a lucky penny you dare not spend. Your presence to me, an unsaid mantra to believe. We all get 3 billion chances to try, 3 billion times to take a chance, and 3 billion heartbeats to share. It's not my job to tell you how. We will not always have peace, so I am saving your smiles for later. And when I am cold, I will drape them over me. And when my neighbor is hungry, I will make a stew of solidarity and humbly serve it. Most of us get 3 billion chances to rejoice unabashedly, sob hysterically, or sit still. I will not spend this wealth of time cloistered in the silence of pain, where the only music is a lonely iambic beat. Imagine a place where your heart beat in a septuplet of colors instead. And I know you are that arced vision in the sky. No two beings can stand in any spot, exact or not, same time or not, same mood or not, and look at the same rainbow. It's never the same thing twice. So no soul can say, yes, it's mine, reach out to snag it, and someone else's turn to use it. Nobody can reach the end of the arc. Nobody sees the end of the 7-fold prism. And nobody ever slides to the end, folds it up, and takes it home. That light and those 7 wonders belong to you, and you, and you, and you, and him and her, and they and us, and even the people we see every day but never see at all. Grab that gold and then not share. Hoard that loot and shout, life's finally fair. Can't do that. No, just can't. I can, however, for I am the greatest of man and also the worst. Hold tight this line of sight and pass it to you when you need it, be you asleep or awake, here or anywhere. We can all share the same dream, but we can't hoard its beauty, 'cause nobody owns the rainbow. Your smile as you watch the sky is a vesper to life, like a toddler's laugh or a lucky penny you dare not spend. Your presence to me is an unsaid mantra to believe. We all get 3 billion chances to try, 3 billion times to take a chance, and 3 billion heartbeats to share. It's not my job to tell you how. We will not always have peace, so I'm saving your smiles for later. And when I am cold, I will drape them over me. And when my neighbor is hungry, I will make a stew of solidarity and humbly serve it. I'm going to grab your hand wherever you are, because sighted or in total dark despair, I see you. I'm going to turn the music to toddler laughter. Feel a misty rain on my face. Look up and watch my same vision with you all. Because while some think we own our corner in the sky, nobody owns the rainbow.
It's a dark and stormy night, and that's a cliche, but it's true. All our nights have been dark and stormy for the past 48 years and 25 days. I keep count. It's funny, or it would be if it weren't so sad. You know, when I was a kid, I'd ask, "Why is the sky blue, Mommy?" Now my grandchildren ask, "What is blue sky, Nana?" Ugh. I remember lying on my back in the backyard on the grass and peering up and wondering how far the sky went and if heaven was behind it. My grandchildren have never seen blue sky and never will. We've lived underground since the Great Warming. All of us. Well, that is, except folks with money. They took off in their rocket ships. Now they circle the planet in 7 huge space stations, one for each continent. But every day, they look down and they can see blue sky. When we look up the shafts to the surface, all we see is lightning, dark clouds, and rain, because no one has lived topside in 48 years. To go out now is certain death with all the toxins and poisons flying around out there. So the techs, they go out, but they wear spacesuits to check the seals on the windows. Well, they're not exactly windows. They're more like portholes that you'd see on a cruise ship way back then. They're round and thick, and they keep out the poisoned air. It used to be we didn't even think about air. It was simply there to give us oxygen so we could live, work, play, love, and create. Now the techs make it in the lab and circulate it through the vents. It does the job, but it's not the same. We are thankful for the rain, though. The folks in the reclamation center, they collect it, they clean it, and they recycle the water for us. But it's not the same. I remember catching raindrops on my tongue. They tasted sweet in the summer and cold like ice in the winter. I mean, sure, in the engineering center, they replicate everything we need down here. They have systems to simulate day and night, to produce food and handle sanitation. Those folks are all-round, self-trained geniuses, but it's not the same. I miss the sun and the moon. I miss the seasons. I miss picking strawberries in June and pumpkins in October. But we're here now. We got left behind when the rich folk went off planet. It didn't matter if you were black, brown, white, red, or yellow. If you couldn't afford a ticket on the big ships, you got left behind. Period. And when all was said and done, we had no choice but to bury our political hatchets, pull together, and figure out what we needed to do to live. And we live pretty well down here. Our spaces are comfortable. And the one thing I love the most is that there's not a right angle in the whole place. Turns out it's pretty damn nigh impossible to dig tunnels with right angles. But I've always loved curves and arches, so that part of living down here feeds my soul. Oh, the Great Warming? Right, that. Well, it didn't happen overnight. It was gradual, so gradual that folks just ignored the signs and the warnings. We had more wildfires, the storms got worse, and dark clouds covered the sky and hid the sun. The sea levels rose and whole islands disappeared, and I really miss Hawaii. I used to love visiting my Uncle Buddy on Oahu. Yeah, and then it got harder to breathe when the frozen ground thawed and gave up all the nasty gases that were hidden down there. By the time folks woke up and demanded that our do-nothing, gridlock government do something, it was too late. The rich folks left, and here we are, living underground, hoping and praying that Mother Nature forgives us. Oh, would you look at the time? I gotta go. My son and daughter are on engineering duty, so I'm watching my grands, and they'll be here any minute. Rosie, Darren, and Marnie. They're gonna bust in here all excited and ask for snacks. They actually like the synth milk and the cookies I make from faux flour. Can you imagine? I mean, the GMO stuff is okay, but I miss real chocolate and real milk. Anyway, the kids will giggle, eat, and drink, and they'll say to me, "Tell us a story, Nana, please." And I will. See, this life right here, right now, is all they'll ever know. So I tell them story after story about how things used to be once upon a time.
One of the things that made Trent Street a wonderful world were the trees. There were 3 on our short block of about a dozen houses. They served as important landmarks. The trees were all on my side of the street, so we always had some shaded space that the people across the street didn't. All of the aluminum awnings of the 1950s and 60s hung on that side, where the even number houses stood. The first tree was a majestic maple directly in front of the house to the left of mine. It was higher than the roofs of the 2-story houses by at least another story. It was wide enough that children could circle it to play Ring Around the Rosie and kiss the trunk. And the roots had started to push the sidewalk up just a little. That tree was the base for playing tag and any other game. It's where the seeker had to lean and count for hide and seek and to go. On summer days and nights, the leaves were a million little fans pushing the breeze towards the porch. I loved looking up into it as I lulled myself on the front porch rocking chair. My favorite was watching the leaves and branches bend, twist, and twirl like a mini tornado during a storm. I never got to watch much of this because my mother would always come in and yell for me to get in. "Regina, are you crazy? Get back in here before you get struck by lightning. You lucky you didn't grow up down home with Mama." We had to get under the bed and pray until the storm was over. The second tree was the twin sister of the first maple, and it was in front of the house right to the right of mine. It was Ella Kid's house, just across the driveway from me. That tree belonged to me, Lisa, and Ella. It wasn't the base for any of the neighborhood children's games. It was reserved for our games of hopscotch, jump rope, and double dutch. And we named her Mabel Maple. Mabel lifted the sidewalk more than the other 2 trees, though we hardly noticed it. And we were growing right along with her roots. Our gait and jumps just naturally partnered with the changing elevation of the sidewalk. We had sole right to collect her fall leaves and iron them on the wax paper and hang them on the walls and refrigerator. Her breeze was for us, but we had to share it with Ella's brother and sister, Sonny and Carol, and her parents, Miss Alice and Mr. Luther. Yet and still, Ella, Lisa, and me got the most benefit of Mabel. Sonny and Carol were too young to play without their parents' supervision, and they couldn't come out until Mr. Luther and Miss Alice got home from work. They usually just caught the tree breeze after dinner. The final tree was at the end of the block, another 7 houses down, far away at the end of the world. It was a tall oak tree and marked the school bus stop. Now, I didn't know that tree very well, but we did sometimes collect acorns as we waited for the bus. As little kids, we weren't allowed to go very far down the street. Mabel was the first to go, cut down in our prime and hers. The men just came and did it. We cried and jumped up and down, and that's why. We were Amazon warriors watching our rainforest be destroyed. One of the men calmly reported that the tree was damaging to the sidewalk and it was cheaper for the township to cut it down than to keep fixing the sidewalk. They never fixed the sidewalk. They just murdered Mabel, chopped her up and drug her away. Mabel's sister was taken next, and finally the old oak. Then they finished off the rest of the few trees in the neighborhood, 1 block north and the block south of Trent Street. I didn't question it at first. I accepted it. My parents explained lots of things to me with the bottom line of saving money. So, okay, the township of Ewing couldn't afford to keep our trees. Although everything about Trent Street looked and smelled and sounded like it was in Trenton, New Jersey, the technical truth is that we became part of Ewing Township in 1959, just in time to have us bused to the upper middle class white school district of Ewing. We rode the school bus K through 9 for 12 miles each way and took the city bus a walk from grades 10 to 12. I didn't notice or think about it right away, but one day of the many days I was feeling sad and exhausted out of nowhere, I noticed a row of trees as I rode the bus. We were well into suburbia, and the further we got away from my neighborhood, the more trees. The trees in the original part of Ewing Township, not the part of Trenton annexed to achieve school integration, had been left intact. Over the next few days and weeks, I noticed the sidewalks were even. Well, they obviously fixed and continued to maintain those sidewalks while keeping the trees. I never said anything to anyone. I just knew that they were more important than us, at least in the eyes of the town government. I knew it's because we were colored from down south and immigrants from Italy and Poland who spoke broken English with accents. I knew it was because our parents worked in factories. Later, I would come to know that we were not a priority for police protection or response, the school system, hardly anybody or anything. The taking of the trees was my first lesson in disparity. Black lives, immigrants, and working class lives don't matter, at least not as much. I suspect that my story is a microcosm. I'm just letting my eyes roll back in my head to return the film. Every time I was old enough to make my way to downtown Trenton, there were a few trees to see. There were few in the fenced-in yards of owner-occupied homes. None in the public area. None lined the streets. Litter and dog poop lined the streets. Other days, I took the bus to hang out in Princeton, only 12 miles from Trenton. The further from Trenton, the closer to Princeton, the more trees, well-maintained trees and sidewalk. Thick smiling trees greeted all who entered. There was green everywhere. Ivy climbed the brick walls of Princeton University and several other buildings. It was never quite as hot in Princeton. I suspect that this story is a microcosm of a macro injustice. And I wonder how many little children were made sad, devastated, even traumatized when shown that they didn't even deserve nature.
I am Mother Nature, and all that I've got is from the divine mind and the breath of God. I am the oceans and everything within, the whales and the dolphins and all that swim. I am rivers and streams, forests and trees, the birds of the sky and the butterflies. I am mountains and valleys, all of this earth. I witness all deaths, I feel all births. I am the gentle mouse and the lions that roar. At night while you sleep, I speak with the stars. What are you doing? Please don't pollute my land.
Listen here, Mother Nature. Let me make myself clear. Don't care what you say. I have no fear. Don't bother me where I throw my trash. Get off my back. I've got to cash. I own the politicians. They do what I say. Don't mess with me. Just do it my way. I'll pollute your waters. I'll destroy your land. I'll dump waste in the oceans for my business plan. I'll buy most of your land. I'll own you too. Now get out of my way and don't tell me what to do. I'll cut down your trees. I'll pollute your air. Makes me no difference 'cause I just don't care. I'm the superstar. Who do you think you are? While you're standing there, I'll put out my cigar. I'll walk away like I've done in the past. Don't you say another word, and don't you give me no sass. I'm in charge, and don't you forget it. Leave me alone, or you'll live to regret it.
It's not nice to fool Mother Nature. I am not here to debate this cause. You listen to me and you better take pause. How dare you destroy my sacred land and all of the beauty of the divine plan? I could make life miserable for you and mankind, but my purpose is to awaken and enlighten your mind. There's many like you with such selfish needs. No consideration of nature doing what you please. You are affecting all generations that are to come by thinking that you are number one. You strip the rainforests from all of its trees, throwing trash in the oceans and polluting my seas. You think there's so much you already know? Well, you'd better remember, you reap what you sow. The lightning before that I showed to you, that's only the beginning of what I can do. You don't want to see when I turn to rage and demonstrate what I can do with fire and flames.
I don't care what you're doing. I'll do as I please. I'm not about to change and get down on my knees. I still have power and I have clout. You don't scare me, you'll find out that I am carefree. Being rich is my game. I'll fight to the end for my fortune and fame.
Yes, I can make you fall to your knees. With the power of my winds and the strength of my breeze, I can take your business and the monies you've gained, reduce them to rubbles, all your fortune and fame. Now, I'm going to give you one last chance to reconsider and change your stance. This is my final warning. And the last thing I'll say, if there's no changes, there'll be hell to pay.
No. Listen here, Mother Nature. No need for anger or to be alarmed. I'll consider changes, though I've had doubts. You've clearly demonstrated what your powers are about. I need to go beyond and shift my mission to include a more expansive vision. I was being selfish, thinking about how to get rich. I know this old pattern needs to be switched.
Well then, won't you at least listen to me?
Yes, Mother Nature. Now I can see.
We need each other, Mother Nature and man. Working together is the divine plan.
I'll start by picking up my trash.
And through recycling, you can even make cash,
I will stop polluting oceans and waters.
which provides healthier lives for our sons and daughters. And by doing that, we can restore the original plan.
And together, we
We
can
can
walk
walk hand in hand.
Today we sit in our rocking chairs wondering if weather is a homonym, wondering whether it will rain or snow, or whether the wind will blow through my teeny weeny afro. Whether we'll walk in the rain with the one we love, or make snow angels while staring at the sky above. Whether as the world turns into a 80s soap opera, or will we go where no man has gone before? Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life civilization, to boldly go where no man has gone before. Whether we walk in the middle of Times Square on a bright and sunny day, or whether we take in the stars among a clear blue sky while lying on a pile of hay. Whether we hear the rain against our window as we sit quietly during a storm. Whether you look up and see no rainbow today, have patience, my child. The weather will change. And you will have your pie in the sky to feed you for life. At some point, our conversation drifted to the question of whether the weather has anything to do with global warming, or is it just simply a change in the weather? Today, we hear a lot of talk regarding the change in the weather, and we see the effect of weather change. Does a change in the weather have a change in mankind? Does it change the hearts of mankind? Because like the weather, a change of heart can be destructive. The evil behavior of mankind can cause God pain. There has been numerous debates of whether God is in control of the weather we enjoy. What is your opinion? For me, whether mankind chooses to accept it or not, our Creator of the heavens and the earth wants us to enjoy the days and nights. He wants us to enjoy the weather, whether it's cold or hot. He wants us to enjoy shade from the big oak tree that sits in the middle of Keeney Park. The Lord is slow to anger and great in power. His ways is in the whirlwind and storm, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. When we see all that is going on with the change in weather and the change in man, it's time for a wake-up call, a time to look to the Creator. Remember when Pastor read the scripture several Sundays ago? Moses said to him, "As soon as I have gone out of the city, I will spread out my hands to the Lord. The thunder will cease, and there will be no more hail, that you may know that the earth is the Lord's." Whether It's when the night falls or the day rises. There will be a change in the weather. There also will be a change in the hearts of mankind. I feel sleepy now. So let's just rock some more and wait for the weather to change. Weather? Well, is a homonym. So let's just wait and see how today the weather will rearrange our plans.
If I could go back in time for just one awesome day, it would be on the morn the world was created for us to stay. I would sit on the side of an imagined bright, colorful rainbow and pay close attention to how the Creator made the world exist and grow. Then watch very closely to see what was first to manifest and observe how each component was crafted to fit in with the rest. I'm sure I would stare wide-eyed as each item came to be, completely mesmerized by every mystery revealed to me. The mountains, the rushing waters, the sun giving birth to the stars and the moon, the night and the darkness that slowly turns to early morning and late noon. See, all the inhabitants appear and become a part of the molded brown earth, creeping creatures and beautiful ones, seldom seen because of their dirt. All the animals, fish and agile birds flying in the elegant blue clouded sky. Me enjoying the variety of humans that came before you and I. Then seeing trees, weeds, and tropical plants elaborately covering the grassy ground, while moles and ants and other crawling insects build their homebound mounds. Flowers blooming, people moving, finding sanctioned shade from the beaming sun. Lions roaring, black bears snoring, projected children playing and having fun. Love, hugs, and kisses being shared by all that have come to exist. No tension, danger, or animosity can be detected in the spiritual midst of comfort, satisfaction, and friendship. No forced hierarchy is ever felt. All creations are proud of whom they are, as well as of everyone else. Paradise is what I saw, and wish I could take it home with me. so I could share it with our present world and make all God's creations free as we live together in originally planned, perfect harmony. Opening up the minds of everyone now living on the land, cleaning our messes so Earth is like when it first began, all able to breathe free, where food unhindered grows as we stop polluting because we've learned and now we know it is up to all of us to change harmful, selfish ways if we want to flourish on this green, round earth and safely stay, restoring life to pristine conditions, first made for us, including living life like in God's judgment we trust. Then it is clearly up to not just some, but to all of us, now and forever. Then I woke up and shook my head sadly because of our present man-made reality. Oh, well, the Creator did what was needed to do. And now it's up to me and you. Oh, don't wait until it is too late.